Hello, this is Becca from Willow Hill Designs, and I'm taking part in the Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, which is hosted by Rachel and Sarah and their mom. And I am just enjoying this so much, and it's so wonderful to see everyone's creativity and their pages. It just inspires me. I've never done anything like this, so I'm a quilter. So this is all definitely new for me, and I'm really loving every minute of it and learning as I go. I thought I would share my February block that I am finally finished with. This was neutrals and fancy flowers. And I decided on a Tussie Mussy here with a bouquet in it, and I've embellished it a lot. I had added some flowers from some fabric that I had and some leaves, and I just did a little bit of, here's a fly stitch on some of the leaves. I did a fly stitch, and then on others I did a blanket stitch and then just defined the vein down the center of the leaf, and I added some ribbon. It's a French seam binding that's hand dyed. The tips are hand dyed, and I love it. So I added that few extra bits of color with that, and then there's sort of a tannish, pinky blush tan color, another French seam binding here. And this was a flower that I bought on, just petals that I bought on Etsy, and I cut them apart and put them together to make a flower, put some eyelash yarn in there, sort of as maybe stamens or something. And then I put little rosebuds throughout, just embellishing here and there, adding some little touches. I added another little flower down here out of the French seam binding with a leaf, and some stitching here just to sort of imitate a calyx there. And a lot of French knots. I wanted it to look like baby's breath or some other type of little tiny flower. And then on the little pocket that holds the nosegay, I embroidered with just an outline stitch with gold sulky thread. And I have to say, it is really beautiful to work with. I've used a lot of different metallics, and they're very difficult. They split and are just awful to work with. Really test your patience, but this sulky is wonderful. I don't know if you can see that. It's made by Sulky Metallic and made in Germany. It says 165 yards. And I absolutely love it. So if anyone is thinking of using a metallic, this is the one to use. It doesn't split. It's really beautiful. And then I added some lace around the outside. I hadn't done that with my other pages, but for this one I did add some lace. And so I think that'll look pretty in the book. And my book, I'm stitching it together. I'm stitching the pages together. This is the title page. And then here are the sampler pages. And I especially love the little woolly bear caterpillar out of the turkey work. I love him. I just think he's so cute. He really came out cute. And my other favorite is the basket with using weaving for that. And then January's block was the bunny, the bouncing bunny, and I think it was vintage lace for that one. So these two, so the book will be that, and then the samplers, and then the bunny page. So these two will be next to each other as I start the next signature, and I think they'll look fine next to each other. I tried to put a few little touches of this deep red on this page to tie in with the deep red on the bunny page. And I have one more button that I may add. I may just put one more just to see how that looks. And again, to tie it in with the other page. So that's where I am so far. And February is finally done. So that is my February page. Hopefully I am in focus. I am a very, very novice at all of this, so I'm hoping you could see. This is my base for my March block, which was reclaimed linens or fabrics. And I have to say, as a quilter, I really don't buy used fabric. I always, or old antique fabric, I always buy new fabric for quilts. So, but I did have a few pieces of linen or vintage pieces that were maybe dresser scarves or doilies or something like that I was planning to use in a quilt. There's a woman on YouTube, I think her name is Rhonda Dort, and she uses vintage pieces in her quilts, and they just turn out beautifully with all of her embroidery and everything. So that inspired me. So this was a piece of I think another dresser scarf. And let me see if I can show you. This was a piece of this. I hated to cut it. Oh, it was not easy to cut into this. And oddly enough, there was a butterfly on it. And I took this piece out. Here's the butterfly. But I didn't want to use that because it was so large. So I decided to just take a piece of this linen out, this dresser scarf out, and I coffee dyed it just quickly. Just gave it a quick plunge and just gave it a little tiny bit of an ivory-ish tint. And so that I decided would be my base. And this fabric was part of a haul for quilting fabric that I just purchased. It's by, I think this is by Three Sisters or French General, I'm not sure. I think it's Three Sisters. And I loved this. I just thought it was so pretty. And I chose this portion of the house here to put on part of this block because I loved it, but there's some really beautiful images on this fabric. So I chose this piece, which is the house. Looks like maybe a French country cottage, and I'm thinking I'll put that there. And I have this little doily that I love. I'm not sure. I don't think it's vintage, but I'm not sure about that. And so I thought I would put that there. And I have a little, looks like a little stamp of some sort from a piece of fabric that had butterflies and birds on it, so I thought I might put that there. It's probably upside down. And I have another piece of this same fabric that I tore out of that, so I thought that I might add that maybe under here somewhere. And my main flower I wanted to be a hydrangea because I love hydrangeas. And this was very pale and muted, so I decided to just outline the flowers, the petals, just a tiny bit with my brown micron pen. It's a very fine tip. It's 005. And it just kind of delineated those flowers enough to see them. So I think that will be my main flower that the butterflies are buzzing around. And that came from a piece of McKenna Ryan fabric that I absolutely love. It has handwriting, pale handwriting in the background, and then hydrangea images on it. And I just thought that was beautiful. So I decided that would be my flower. These are some other fabrics from that other range that is this little sort of neutral back here. They look very vintagey to me, but of course they're not. They're new. But I couldn't resist those. Those will be for quilts. But so far, that's what I was thinking for part of the background. And this is a piece of silk that I tore. And, oh boy, it is definitely raveling. I usually back my silk with interfacing just to keep it from raveling so much. But I was thinking I might put a touch of this color down this side because I think this will be the outside of the page and this will be the inside towards the spine. And then I thought I would put a piece of lace here with just a little bit of that sort of a robin's egg blue peeking out. And this is a piece of sari silk that I chose, and I thought that might be interesting. Oh, before that, I have this little piece that was from another, this was from a hanky actually, and I thought that was very pretty, so I cut the corner off. I have to say it's so hard to cut these things, but it's actually better to use them and see them than have them tucked away in a little, I have them all in a little chest somewhere up in my sewing studio, so I guess it's better to see them, but it's painful to cut them, for me anyway. So I thought I would put this ivory sari silk here, and I have this trim I had bought on Etsy quite a while ago. I thought it was awfully pretty, sort of a silvery green, flowers and leaves, and I thought that might look pretty there. And so that, I think, will go like that. This is, I'm guessing at this point. And I did find a doily with this little butterfly motif on it. And I think that my Cottage Crafts, Jeanette, had the same doily and the same butterfly. I had to laugh when I saw that because I just loved that. So I thought I may include her up there. And then I thought I just cut this piece of fabric, and all of these, I'm not using the Steam a Seam 2 on these anymore. I did that on February's page, and it was just murder to stitch through. It did tack it down, and it did keep the edges from fraying, but oh my goodness, it was just too hard. So I decided to use a lightweight fusible interfacing on these pieces, and I did that just to minimize the fraying. I'm nutty that way. I know I should embrace all these frayed edges, but when you're trying to stitch the edge and it's raveling away, that isn't good for me. So that has just some fusible interfacing on the back to stabilize it a little bit. And this is another piece of fabric that I just sort of chose for, I don't know which way I had it. Oh, maybe this way. for a stem. And let's see, maybe that comes down a little. And then I have this beautiful little mouse that I had bought on Etsy. This woman copies Beatrix Potter images on fabric, and I have several of them. Oops, sorry for bumping the camera. I have several of these for a quilt, but I decided to part with her because I love her, and I thought I'd like to see her, so I'm thinking that she might be peeking out from under the hydrangea, and I'll put her there. Oh gosh, all of this stuff wants to move. I'll just sort of pop a little pin so they don't go everywhere. This is on that little design board that I made. This is my needle book, and it really does pay to have several needles of different sizes, and pins. It really does pay, because I find for some things you really need fine needles, and then for other things you need the real thick, long needles, so it does pay to keep all of that handy. So I want the little mouse there, and then I chose this butterfly. Hopefully you can see that. Sorry, I think my lighting is off today. I did use the Steam Seam 2 on this butterfly, and I fused a piece of another fabric to the back of it so that I could bend her up and she would look as if she's flying. So I'll probably just tack her somewhere on her body there so it looks like she's just landing on the flower. I have another butterfly from another butterfly fabric that I love, and so I thought maybe I would put that one there, so they're all kind of flying around this garden. And I have some leaves because I thought maybe she's peeking out from under all the foliage in this garden, so I'll try to make it look as if she's peeking out. And did I lose my stem? Yes. And as if she's in a garden, peeking out. Hopefully that will work there. I'll have to fuss with all of that. And then I have a bee that I thought was awfully cute. So I don't know if that's overkill, if I'm just adding too much in here or not, but of course in a garden there's lots of bees and butterflies flying around, so of course there's another butterfly here. And I was thinking I might add this one in here somewhere. So this little, I don't know if that one will stay or not for sure, but I have some leaves here that I may be adding. Again, this is all just kind of guesswork at this point, but I'm trying to. And here's a little flower left over from February that I may tuck in there. But I think that is my composition so far. I think I like that. I'm not sure about this butterfly, if that one will stay, or maybe I'll put in another tiny one in here like these two, although I did love the colors of this one. I do think that's really so pretty. So that one may stay in there, and I do love the bee. I think the bee is going to stay. And I got my fray check out, which I thought was really good, because if I'm having some trouble with any of these edges when I'm stitching around them, I was thinking that leaves or anything, I can just put a little dab of fray check on the end so that, because I did find that previously, if you stitch on the edge and there's nothing on the back of the fabric, sometimes it will just ravel and fray that whole edge away, and then you lose the flower. This, I don't know that I will do really any stitching. I just think it's so pretty. Whatever I do around the edge, I'll try to enhance it, and maybe some teeny tiny French knots that aren't in your face too much. I don't know, I may do teeny tiny one strand of thread outlining some of the hydrangea blossoms. I'm not sure, and I think I'll add some color, maybe just around the edges, to this butterfly, just to sort of give her some life too. But so far, this is just tentatively what I have come up with. There was another butterfly too that I had found on some fabric. I have a few fabrics with butterflies, but I thought this one was kind of big. I don't know, I do kind of like those colors, but I think it's a little bit big for this one, so I'll just save it. And I have some other leaves here on a piece of silk and stems that I was trying out. So these are just some things. I may replace some of those other leaves with these. I may tuck that down underneath so that she looks like she's peeking out. I don't know if there'll be any leaves up here, not sure. I would like to, I love buttons. I have hundreds and hundreds of buttons. So I would like to maybe add, if I bring this over, I may like to add, I was thinking of an aqua or a mint green button, a few buttons, little tiny ones on that side. I'm not so much into bright, bold colors. I'm not into the rainbow bright colors or primaries. I love the soft, muted colors, so that's kind of the way I seem to go on these pages, other than the bunny page, which had that barn red. But that's where I stand so far. And I had also added to my wonderful collection of, I love DMC floss. I have lots of it, and I also added some to my collection, and I think it's just wonderful to have all these colors at your disposal so that you can add touches of color here, there, and everywhere. And again, I don't usually use a lot of strands. I like to just put little hints of color, but it's nice to have all these colors at our disposal because you just never know what touch. Look at that color. That's sort of like a robin's egg blue, which I love. Goes with this picture. I think I'll probably add some touches to this little doily here. But that is March. So March, I think, is well on the way. Of course, March is half over, but I think it's well on its way to, at least I have a good start on it. And I am very happy with my February, really pleased. I just have to say thank you to Rachel and Sarah for coming up with this challenge or stitch along. I would never have done this as a quilter. I am making quilts all the time for family and gifts and friends and my home, and also needle books and cross stitch project bags. I make lots of those. I would have never in a million years thought of this. So I'm just loving it, and I'm having a wonderful time. And thank you, Rachel and Sarah and your mom, for this little challenge. It's been really fun. Well, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. Hope there was some ideas that may inspire you. And thank you, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.